Hi. Who's here already? Let's check it out. Cosma. Not surprised. Cosma's first here. Keith as well. Nice. Let's see who else is here. Gummy Girl. I was at the what do you call it? The grocery store. Not the supermarket. I was at the grocery store the other day and they were selling, you know, bulk stuff, and they had bulk gummy bears, and I was like, Gummy Girl would like these. I don't know why I thought of that at the random moment. It was but they still didn't have sour gummy bears. I've yet to ever ever see those. So yeah. Chad, Falalea, welcome. Kat, Flo, welcome. Natalie, Helen. Oh, Arlie. Long time no see. Hey, I was like, that name's familiar. Welcome. Brewbits. Each mug. Just in case it's something I shouldn't say, whoever you are with the German name, Guten Tag. Noah Deeps. Welcome. How's everyone doing today on this this lovely Sunday? One day, Billy, the sour gummy bears will rise. One day. They did have regular ones, and they had sour gummy worms. But yeah, I've never seen a sour gummy bear. I don't know. It might just be, it's not a common thing in a regular supermarket, and only I have missed it, and everywhere else they have it. Or it could be like a California thing where we don't put sour stuff on our gummy bears. Maybe it's like a cultural thing, some, you know, deep-seated cultural thing from before I was born, where they just don't make sour gummy bears here. I don't know, but yeah, I've never seen them. Cosma, I started a free Korean class with one of my Korean friends. Wow. Okay, that's a good friend. You should make sure to buy them food and gifts. Would it be okay if I used your? Oh yeah, no, go ahead. You do whatever you want with that. Use it as a lesson plan. Send it to people. Upload it to USB devices and sprinkle it into North Korea. Whatever you want. You just can't say you made it. That's the only thing, is that you can't just, you know, give it to someone else and say, hey, look what I made, and remove my made by Go Billy Korean. But anything else you want, yeah, that's great. Feel free. As well as my beginner course. If you are a teacher and you want a really basic classroom curriculum, but you don't want to play the videos, feel free to use the content of those videos in your class. That's fine. You can just say, hey, this content's from Billy Go's beginner Korean course on YouTube. If you want, you can watch that. Feel free. I sometimes get emails from teachers who actually will say that they'll use my books to make their lessons, or they'll use my videos in class. Like, they'll teach a topic in class. Maybe they didn't teach it well enough for whatever reason. I don't know. Then they'll play one of my videos after. But I'm happy to get those types of emails. So yeah, feel free. I'm always happy to hear when people are using them. Nick, hello, was wondering, how do you not burn out from teaching Korean for so many years? I saw you the first time 5 years ago, and you surprised me. Yeah, the funny thing about burnout is it happens for the things that you don't want to do. Like, when it comes to teaching Korean, some of the stuff I might not want to do would be like setting up the room for filming, which, you know, just takes a lot of time, or like formatting a book, which takes like a whole month every day, like 8 hours a day or more to format. So it's like stuff like that. But because I shift what I'm doing, since I'm just one person, that means I have to do everything by myself for the most part, except unless I hire someone, you know, to draw art for a book cover, something like that. Besides that, I have to do everything by myself. But I guess bright side to that is because I do everything by myself, I always wear like a different hat every day. Like one day I'm setting up the room, which I don't like, but then the other day I'm filming, which is okay. Other day I'm editing, which is like meh. Or other day I'm doing sound editing, which is okay. And then, all these different things I get to do, so I don't have to burn out on one thing. But it can be kind of hard if I were doing like the same project, the same thing for a long time. So I just try to avoid that. Try to make it a little fun. I'll take breaks. I might work for like an hour straight, and then for no reason other than just to take a break, I'll be like, you know what? Let's stop here, walk downstairs, get some water, stretch, bother my wife when she's trying to do something else. That kind of stuff. Familiar is an interesting word for OG. Yes. One of the originals back in 2018, I think, right? 2018, 2019. When I first started doing these live streams, no shade, but we used to have like a few hundred people coming in because that was right around when BTS had like really kicked into the US market. And everyone's like, you know what? I'm going to check out Korean, at least for like a few seconds. Everyone was like that. So we used to get tons and tons of people coming in, and a lot of them were just coming in not to learn Korean and not really to troll. I respect a good troll, but this was just coming into spam, I guess would be a better word. So we had several moderators. Arlie was one of them as well. That would kind of help to clear the chat because I didn't even have a tablet at the time. So I had no way of even checking if there was a message, like if someone was spamming, unless I had I think at the time I had to like turn around and go to my computer because I didn't have this stuff set up well. Okay, let's see. Orange flavored cigs. That sounds absolutely disgusting. Hi, Billy. I'm a perfectionist and have been struggling to feel like I'm learning Korean the right way. There is no right way to learn Korean. There are lots of wrong ways to learn Korean, but there is no like best way to learn Korean, or I shouldn't even say that. There is no one way. There is no secret method. There is no like number one best way for everyone to learn. There are some wrong ways which involve not actually using it, not actually exposing yourself to it. Those would be the wrong ways. Any sort of method that doesn't involve you actually using the language is a wrong way. But I didn't have my books when I was learning Korean. I think my books are great, but it's not the right way to learn Korean, if that makes sense. The right way is that you are doing constant improvement in some way by doing new lessons each day and practicing them and getting as much exposure to the language kind of on your level, closer to your level as possible. That's pretty much it. And then there are, you can have a tutor, you can have me kind of telling you, oh, good job. Now you should do this. Now you should do this. But if you're someone who's used to learning languages, you could probably figure that out on your own just by realizing, oh, I see people using this expression a lot. I wonder what that means. Let me find a lesson. Oh, Billy has a lesson on it. Interesting. Going back to my listening practice. Like you can do it that way as well. There isn't really a right way so much. It's if you are improving, if you're always practicing, that is the right way. And it's not like you're going to, there isn't like a shortcut to learn way faster than everyone else. I see that some people kind of want the fastest way to learn Korean. There isn't such a thing. Even if you were to figure out which of the methods for learning Korean is the best one for you, you spend a lot of time researching, or someone tells you, here's the best way to learn. Okay, let's say you do that. Let's say you're a genius, like you're really smart on top of everything, and you've learned a bunch of other languages. Cool. Best possible situation. And you live in Korea, everyone around you speaks Korean. Okay, this is like number one best situation ever possible to learn Korean. You're not going to learn Korean in a week or a month or 2 months or 3 months or 5, 6 months. It's still going to take time just because your brain physically or mentally, whatever it's doing, cannot learn a language that fast. So don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself too much about it. Whether it takes you, 2 years to become fluent living in Korea, or if it takes you a year and a half, it's not that big of a deal. So I wouldn't really worry too much about it. But yeah, there isn't really a right way necessarily. Anyone coming in right now, just, we always just kind of chat about whatever before the class starts. The actual lesson's going to start at the top of the hour as always. 파이팅 한마디만 해주시면 힘이 날 것 같아요. Okay? 화이팅! You said 한마디, so 화이팅 is technically 한마디. You don't burn out when it's something you love doing, you say, but I actually, that's not what I said. I didn't say I didn't burn out because I love doing it. You can burn out doing something you love doing. It's the thing is, I don't let myself do anything for long enough to burn out. I guess that would be what I would say. I like teaching Korean. I'm not going to use the word love because I also love being able to pay the bills. If I couldn't, then I wouldn't do this, not because I don't want to, but because I can't. I could get burnout from teaching live streams. If I was doing like 6 live streams every day, 7 days a week, I would get burnout, even though it's fun. I think it's just that I don't give myself that much time to do the same thing over and over again. Like, I'm not standing there doing the exact same task all day for weeks. I try to vary it up. So in my schedule as well, I'll schedule like this week. The past month has been one thing, actually. It's been Stray Kids. The past month has been nothing but play video and Stray Kids. Okay, watch, take notes. Oh, make a clip. I like where that person said this. Interesting. Maybe that'll be useful. And then writing a bit. Oh, I remember that clip I took. That would be useful. Looking at all the clips I took of each member. You know what? That member definitely does this because look at all the examples I found that stood out of that. So that's what I've been doing, but I wouldn't be able to do that for like 6 months, you know. No offense. The Stray Kids members are pretty funny, but I don't think I'd be able to watch nothing but Stray Kids videos for 6 months straight. Don't bring the trolls out. I respect it. No, I'm not worried about that because you can't. A good troll takes effort. You're not gonna be able to call him out because that's not what they want in the first place. They don't want you to like say, "Hey, come on out." Like, that's not fun. Like, you can't troll someone who's asking you to troll them. I started trying to learn Korean last month. College takes up most of my time right now, but I'm excited to keep trying. Nice. Yeah, last month. Welcome. Brand new beginner. That's a really fun time because I remember everything that you learn feels like you doubled your knowledge. Learn like 10 words and now you have twice as many vocab as you did before. 저는 단어 외우려고 하는데 어휘력이 항상 부족한 것 같아요. So I'm always trying to learn vocabulary, but I always feel like my vocabulary is lacking. Yeah, it'll always be lacking if you compare it to something that you've never studied before. If you watch like regular conversations on a topic that you're familiar with, do you feel lacking in that vocabulary? I guess that would be a question I'd ask for you first. Rammer says, I asked Gemini what was the most efficient way of studying Korean and it recommended your YouTube channel. That's really funny. It just takes whatever it sees other people doing. So I guess there are a lot of people recommending my YouTube channel. So that's good. Do you have a list of lessons you've done? Yes, I do, Arlie. Let me give you that link. Oh, wait. Should pop up in the chat. There we go. Yeah, that's all of the live streams I've done. Yurisem girl group. Okay, I don't know girl groups very well. I've been forced to watch boy groups for the past decade. Ever since I started doing Korean analysis series, I'll always have I'll make a post on my Patreon page because I want to know what my the people who are paying me to do this, which I really appreciate. There aren't very many of you, but I do know you and I appreciate you. Who do you want me to analyze? And I'll make posts once, twice a year whenever I'm doing these, and I'll get a big list of a lot of people and people upvote those, make comments. I'll go through that list and I'll pick the ones that are mentioned the most often and I'll put it into a vote. This time I think there were like 8 options or something in the vote. And then I put that vote to my Patreon members as well. Or I might put it to the YouTube members, depending on what the topic, depending on the type of video. But this time it was all Patreon. And yeah, so if people recommend a specific group, like if you want to see a specific group, join my Patreon and make that request next time I have a vote. Yeah, so that's why I'm doing Stray Kids right now, is because that's what most people asked for. Actually, people have been asking for Stray Kids ever since the last video because they were not upset, but they wish that I had done all the members. Whereas the video I made in 2021 January, I think it was only about Pangchan. I'm just saying it like an American. Bang Chang and Felix. I only did Pangchan and Felix for last time because I never thought I'd be doing an analyzing Korean series. I thought it was just going to be like kind of grading foreigners speaking in Korean, but I realized that it could be a series where I talk about how do they sound in Korean. And ever since that video, though, people have been asking me to analyze the rest of the group. So finally, that's what I have done. Actually, let me show you something. Don't tell anyone, but I've actually finished my first full drafts of the script, so it's close to what I want. Now, these aren't like scripts. They're like, you know, like it's what I want to say during the video. And I don't want to show you I'll show you the backs. These are the scripts. I used up all the paper I had in my printer. And each one's about 10 pages. Some are a little longer. Like, looks like this. Those are the scripts for the Stray Kids series coming up. But I still have some more work to do. They're not done. It's going to take me another few weeks before I can finish editing all of them and filming all of them. I'm going to try to be filming some of them this week, but I won't be able to finish them all because there are going to be a lot of videos and it's going to take me a long time to film. I'm estimating it's going to be like an hour and a half to film each one because there's so many video clips I also have to watch. And then I'll maybe try to edit those down into like 20-30 minutes each. But yeah, you're going to be eating well once the video series starts. Oh, Gummy Girl. It's a URL. Okay. Thank you, Gummy Girl. You write, just saying thank you for giving me something to look forward to every week. You have a wonderful community. Proud to be part of it. L. Who is L? Is that your nickname, Gummy Girl? I'm sure Gummy and Girl is your passport name, but I guess L is what they call you, you know, your friends and family. Thank you. Few people recommending Le Seraphim. It was almost Le Seraphim last time. The vote was between Red Velvet, Le Seraphim, what else was it? Another group I can't remember, and then Monsta X. And guess which group won? The boy group. It's always the boy group. It's always the boy group. But yeah, this time another boy group, though very famous, I'd say right now especially. Yeah, so we'll get a Stray Kids series coming out. Hopefully, if I can film Pangchan's episode later this week, which that's my goal, is to film Pangchan, the first episode this week, then edit that as fast as I can, and then maybe in a couple weeks, we'll get the first episode. And yeah, so look forward to that. X-Love. I've never heard of them. I haven't heard of a lot, though, just to be fair. Multiple choice of only female groups. Yeah, I thought that's what was going to happen this time since we had many female groups that were nominated. But yeah, Monsta X still won. So I'll pick whatever my Patreon members want. Please let me analyze a girl group for once. They're all boys. All I'm doing is watching men flirt with each other and flirt with the camera and dance around all day. And my wife is wondering if I'm okay. Please help me. Send help. Did you get a pet rat? Yes. Oh, yes, Mikey. So we'll start the live stream in like 5 minutes. So last week during the live stream, I asked that those of you who normally would donate, I asked people to donate so that I can purchase a new rat, or I should say a mouse for my computer. And we hit our goal. So let me show you. It won't look like much to you, but to me, this is the difference between actually being able to do my work and the other one I was using, which would frequently like not click and it would like flick around the screen sometimes. So I have a new mouse, but that's not all. This mouse was about $40, which is, I think, pretty cheap for what it has. It works really nice. But because we actually beat the goal, instead of, I was trying to raise, I think I was trying to raise $40 just to buy this. But then we had a couple larger donations. So I thought, you know what? This is a good time to buy a keyboard because I also needed a new keyboard. I had a 10-year-old keyboard now, and it was really gross. I mean, I wipe it, I clean it, but it's still like you can't really clean it. So I wanted a new keyboard. Also, it wasn't working. The delete key wasn't working. Backspace wasn't working. I mean, to be fair, I typed about 8 books and 4. That's all 4 of my video series on that keyboard. So I got a keyboard. It's heavy because I decided instead of just getting a new $20 keyboard like I'd been using, I went for a mechanical for my first time. So it's a fairly budget mechanical, but it's really nice. It's heavy. I got some I can't really type with it because I don't want to close my, let me see if I can do, so you can listen. They're like silent mostly. That's why I wanted to get it. I didn't want to get something I didn't want to get something that's like clickety clack because I'm not a big fan of that. I would go crazy, but it's nice and silent. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. I didn't throw away my other keyboard either because like it mostly works. So I actually took the whole thing apart, washed it with hot soapy water, all the pieces, all the keys, the inside and everything, and then let it dry and then put it back. And I had Jeremy help me. Jeremy assembled the entire keyboard back together, put all the keys back in. So I told him in the future when he gets a computer, which will probably be the one I'm using right now if I can ever afford a new computer in this economy, then I will give him that keyboard, I told him. So yeah. 스키즈 너무 좋아요, Helen says. If BTS were there, they would have won. Yeah, BTS was actually one of the options on the vote, but it was specifically for a comparison of BTS before and after military service. So kind of like it's an update of the series, but focused on comparing how, if they've changed and how. I don't know. I assume they would have changed a little bit because now they're all definitely like, they're all adults. They've all been through the military. So there should be some differences, but actually Stray Kids won by about like 2 votes. Stray Kids won over BTS. The reason though some people said is that BTS hasn't done enough streams since coming back from the military. I guess all of them have. So there wouldn't be enough material for me to analyze is what some people were saying. So they requested that I do that video in the future. So we'll come back to that later. Billy, you can totally spend your free time any way you see fit. How about Beat Pella House? Never heard of that. 4 boys, but 1 amazing girl. Okay. Please watch all the boy groups you want. Are there numbers? No, it's actually the keyboard is the keys, the letter is actually on the side. And because I just wanted to save battery, I turned off the lights on it, but you can't really see the keys. Fortunately, I know the keys because I've been typing for my entire life since I was like probably 6. I've known how to type. So it's okay for me, but I might turn on the lights again just so it can kind of, still help to see. But yeah, all the keys are blank. It's only on the sides. The benefit though of that is there's no keys that you can rub off accidentally. Do the keys light up? Yeah, they light up when it's wireless too. I just have it off right now. Okay, we'll get started in just a minute. See if there are any other comments before. Nmix Hey1 is one of the funniest idols. I learned what arirang because of the BTS World Tour. More in depth, it's a traditional Korean song that has variations in every area. So there are multiple arirang songs, if that makes sense. Multiple melodies and multiple lyrics. There's not one. The most common one that everyone knows is, arirang, arirang, arario, that one. But there are many other versions of it as well. Okay, 17 TXT. Yeah, I already did a TXT analysis. It was actually one long video. You can check it out on my channel because they had 5 members. So I thought instead of making 5 videos and release one a week, I would just release one video. And it's this giant 1.5 hour long video for all 5 members. Okay, so today we're going to be learning an intermediate grammar form, which is 뿐만아니라. And before we do that, if you are familiar with these forms, it'll really help. You don't need to know them. I'll kind of still break it down for you. But if you already know these concepts, 뿐 and anida, it'll help you more, help you understand this form more in depth. But you don't need to know these to be able to use 뿐만아니라 at all, because I'll explain how it works. But if you really wanted to understand like exactly how does it work, then know these beforehand. So this is not really prerequisite. It's more of like a extra reading if you'd like. Okay. Oh, that's pretty strong. It's a watermelon lime flavored drink. Okay. Today we're going to be learning about 뿐만아니라, which is a intermediate level form. And what it comes from is 3 separate pieces of grammar combined together. The first one being 뿐. Now, 뿐 is a particle, and it means only or just, like only that, just that, and nothing else. So it has emphasis that not only is it just that, but also nothing else. It's like emphasizing something while singling it out. So it singles out whatever you're talking about by saying whatever noun or whatever before it, only that and nothing else. But an easier way to think about this for 뿐, if you are familiar with the adverb 그냥, which means like, yeah, it's just that. Like kind of like when you're downplaying something, you're like, it's only that. It was just that. It was just $5, I just slept today. When you're downplaying it, right? You're saying nothing else, just that. It has this exact same feeling, but, oh, I got a donation. Oh, Arlie. Thank you, Arlie. A good luck message to all before we begin. Thank you. 감사합니다. And now, back to our lesson. So it's like using 그냥 because it means just, like when you're downplaying something, you're saying that's all it is. But unlike 그냥, 뿐 is not an informal only particle. Well, actually, 그냥 is an adverb. So unlike this, 뿐 is a particle. It's not only for informal use like 그냥, and 그냥 is an adverb. But the feeling, the way it works, is the same. So if you say something 뿐, it's like saying 그냥 something. Okay, moving on to the next one. You all should know this one, 만. 만 is a particle that just means only. That's it. So by saying 뿐만, you're saying 그냥 something only. So let's take the noun, for example, me, 더. I don't want to write it in red, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, so me, 뿐 is, it's just me. 만, it's only just me, is what you're saying. So 뿐만 is just more emphasis than using 뿐 by itself. Okay, so now we're up to here. The final step is anida. Now, anila. Of course, it comes from the verb anida, to not be. Pretty simple, right? But the difference between ani go and ani la is that when you use ani go, it's simply saying, actually, let me give you this a little bit better. Let me make it a little bit clearer by showing you an example. Let me show you a quick example of how this works. So anida comes from the verb anida, which means to not be. Now you might be familiar with anigo. Anigo and anida have the same usage. So the way it would normally work is you would say, for example, you have a anigo or anida followed by be. So you have one part of the sentence, anida or anigo, and then another part of the sentence. What that would mean, if you say a anigo be, for example, 저, me, 저 아니고 철수, not me, 철수. If you use 아니고, what you are saying is simply a, in this case, me, I am not 아니고, and 철수 is, or 철수 did something. So 아니고 literally just means me or whoever or whatever, a, no, be. So A, no, B. That's it. Anira, however, while it has the same usage, so you'd put something before it and then something after it, this is used to show more contrast. So instead of saying, it is not me, it is 철수. If you say anira, it sounds more like saying, no, not me, 철수. It just has more emphasis. So you would use that in Korean anytime you are correcting someone or explaining something. You're not simply saying, oh, it is not me who did that. It is 철수, he is in charge, and he would be happy to help you with the details. It's not that. This is like saying, no, 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 you're wrong. It's not me, it's 철수. He's in charge, he'll help you with the details. So it kind of sounds like you're correcting the person, or at least you're trying to explain, like clarify something, like, no, not A, actually, it's B. So it has more emphasis. So I think you can think of anida as saying kind of like, no, actually. Or actually, I think a good way you can think of anida is by thinking of it as saying like, actually, no. Like, actually, I'm correcting you, actually. So if we put all of this together, which are these separate forms, we have, let's say, a 뿐만아니라 B. So if we have a 뿐만아니라 B, what we have here is, it is not only just A, right? It is actually, or whatever actually, B is what you're saying. So, not only A, but actually B, right? So that's what this form means, literally, and how it's used. When you say something 뿐만아니라, you're saying not actually A, or no, you're saying with this form, not only A, but actually B is what you're saying. I'm going to leave this up for just a second. Baby Boo de Luna is saying, is it the same as 말고? Nope, I have a separate form about 말고. 말고 is used really basically when you're saying, no, stop that, like don't do something. It is this, is what you're saying. And that can be like with a request, like, no, don't give me that, give me this. So it's saying not, basically 말고 would be more like saying not or don't, just those kind of words in English. Whereas this is actually an expression. You're saying it is not only that. So, I mean, there will be sentences where you can use either in English as well, where you could use either not only that, or you can say not that, but they have different uses, even though they might seem like they have some similar uses where you could use it, that or the other in a sentence, but they have different meanings. Is this anira the same as anira서? Nope, it's actually the same conjugation. So, splurts, the conjugation for anira is actually an interesting one because the original conjugation, this is a note if you are advanced. If you are a beginner, do not write this down, or do whatever you want. Originally, ida and anida, especially ida, because anida is actually technically just an negative, an ida. That's where you get anida. So originally, ida is where this all comes from. And again, don't write this down unless you want some advanced notes. Ida originally does not conjugate as ieu and yeu. That is a newer conjugation that got more popular. It's kind of like, think of it as like dialect. Ieu and yeu are like the dialect versions of the original conjugation, which would be la. Weird. But yeah, ida, and which carried over into anida. So this is equivalent to anio. Like, it is not. And so anio, like if you conjugate hada, you would get he, right? Or hayo in the older form. Anida would originally be anila. Today, though, we don't use that as that conjugation. We use anio. So you can think of it as kind of like 그렇게 해, blah, 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 blah. So it's continuing something. So you can think of it as like, it's not something anida sol if you want to attach it, but it's not the same usage, because anida sol today would be used more often for because form, because something is not like that. This is just the original conjugation of it. But it's still used. The original conjugation of ida as ida is still used in a lot of places for the sol form, like irasol, the exact same thing. Irago, for whenever you're doing quoting, it also uses the original form, anirago, like that. But in this case, you can just think of it as a thing. Just think of it as a thing, if that helps. It always helps when you think of a thing as a thing. I feel like that brings a lot, helps it not be so confusing. But yeah, it was just the original conjugation that kind of stuck. And because it's an older style, it sounds more emphatic. Okay, let's see. All right, so let me give you some examples. So the first way we're going to be using it is with a noun. And the way it works is you take a noun and you directly attach onto that 뿐만아니라, and then you finish the rest of the sentence. So again, what does this mean? It means not only noun, whatever noun you put before it, but, so think of a sentence first in English that you might want to say not only a noun, not only that, but I'm not asking you to translate this or anything. I just want you to think of it, to kind of think about where might you want to use this form in Korean. It's the exact same as when you might want to use it in English. So yeah, think for just a second on something you might say. You don't have to write it down. I'm just going to check the chat while you're thinking. Oh, Ben is asking about 말고 and 아니고. Check out my live stream. I did all about 아니고 and 말고, as well as anida. It was the live stream from November 23rd, 2025. So it was just last year, a couple months ago. I did a live stream about 아니고, 말고, anida, and yeah. Winter Sky is asking about what's the story with Charsu. Well, it goes back, I want to say all the way to the Civil War. It's pretty long story. I don't quite have time to explain all of it. But yeah, we've got, he's a good guy. That's all I can say. That's all my lawyers say I can say. 저는 이거를 생각이 나요. 저는 회장뿐만 아니라 고객도요. Is this some old US commercial? I'm not sure which commercial that would be. Yeah, Eve Lafie gave a really great one sentence explanation of 말고 and 아니고. Not 100%, but very close to the biggest difference. 아니라 and 아니라서. Yes, but not this form, Jihoon. This is a different form of it. Modern Korean, yeah, it's used as that, but in this form, it's not. Okay, I'm just curious. It's not only snow, okay? How do you know the exact date of your classes? I'm just like that. It's not because I wrote it down. Rat. 뿐만 아니라 키보드도 샀어요. Actually, Mike, your sentence is perfect. If you wrote it in Korean, it would be very perfect. Not only cats, but dogs, okay? Are you on Spotify? Yeah, my podcast is on Spotify. It's the podcast called Into Korean. Although if you join my Patreon page, you can listen without ads as well. And then you can also link that with your Spotify page and you can listen to the ad-free versions as well. It's the same thing. You just don't have the extra minute of there's a Patreon ad and then there's some like whatever I want to peddle that week. It'll be like my book or merchandise or something like that. Okay. I don't have any other sponsors yet, like outside. It's all just my own stuff that I'm advertising for. So that's how it works. That's how it means. That's what it means. So let's do some example sentences. Okay. 뿐만 아니라. So not only me, 저뿐만 아니라 다른 사람들, 다른 people, also, other people also, 다, all of them, completely, 이해하다, to understand, 이해를 못하다, to not understand, meaning cannot understand. 이해를 못했어요. Everyone also couldn't understand. Other people too. Not only me. 저뿐만 아니라 다른 사람들도 다 이해를 못했어요. So not only me, but other people also couldn't understand anything. Literally, couldn't understand all of it. It's not just me. Other people also couldn't understand the whole thing. Not only me, but other people also couldn't understand the whole thing. 저뿐만 아니라 다른 사람들도 다 이해를 못했어요. So you can see how it means not only, and that's pretty much all there is to it. I have 3 more example sentences with nouns, and then we're going to talk about a couple other things you need to know about this form. It's not just that simple. There's one more thing we can do with it. Kai, welcome Kai. I'm not only the president, I'm also a client. Okay. It sounds like a commercial. 김치뿐만 아니라 불고기도 먹고 싶어요. Very nice sentence. Very good sentence. 어제뿐만 아니라 오늘도 운동했어요. Nice. Not only yesterday, but today I also did exercise. Okay. Let's do some more sentences. And there aren't any limitations on the sentence you use it with. In case you're wondering why this one's also past tense, there's no rule about it being past tense. The next one we have will be present tense. Any tense you want, any sentence you want. There are no restrictions, no specific speech level it can be used in. However, you're probably not going to be using this in casual speech, just the same as you probably wouldn't be saying not only that with your close friends, but it's not wrong. It's just most often I would say not used in casual speech just because it has a bit of a fancy feeling to it. Because literally you're saying it is not only like that. It is not only that, or not only is what you're saying. You're not saying, I guess if you were to say it to a friend, 뿐만 아니라, you could still say it to a friend. It just still has a little bit of a fancy type of feeling. So it wouldn't be, I guess I should say not that it's not casual. It's not slangy. If you use it, it's not slangy. So you're safe to use it in any situation you want. Just know that. It's okay to use it with anyone in any situation, any sentence, whatever. It'll never have a slangy feel to it. 아침, so breakfast, literally morning, but that's short for 아침 식사. 아침뿐만 아니라, not only breakfast, but 점심, lunch. 점심도, even lunch, 못 먹었어요. I couldn't even eat lunch. Not only breakfast, but I couldn't even eat lunch. 아침뿐만 아니라 점심도 못 먹었어요. So, not only breakfast, but I couldn't eat lunch either. Again, 뿐만, just only lunch. Sorry, breakfast. So not only just breakfast, but also 점심, lunch. Okay, I'll leave this up for half a minute. It was for a hair club for men in the 90s. Could be regional. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I saw that commercial. 남준 오빠뿐만 아니라 석진 오빠도 결혼하고 싶. So you want to say marry with, not that they want to marry, like 하고 싶어 해요, not that, but you're saying you want to marry them. Okay. Typically you would say marry with, like 그 사람, like person, 와 or 과 if you're speaking politely, or like 이랑, 랑 for regular informal or casual speech. Yeah, RM. Yeah. Jean, okay. Sounds like me in my discussion board posts. 한국어를 배우는 것뿐만 아니라 일본어. Yep. 은근히 배우고 싶어요. So I want to learn Japanese as well. All right. 모든 게 다 있어요. Okay. 여긴, short for 여기는. So here, this place. 라면, ramen, 라면뿐만 아니라. So here, not only just the ramen, but 모든 게, which is 모든 것이. 것이 gets shortened in speech more often to 게. 모든 게, so everything is all, everything, completely 비싸요. From 비싸다, to be expensive. So not just the ramen here, but everything's expensive. 여긴 라면뿐만 아니라 모든 게 다 비싸요. 여긴 라면뿐만 아니라 모든 게 다 비싸요. So not only is the ramen, no, so let's say not just ramen, but everything is expensive here. Not only ramen here, but everything is expensive. Yeah. There is like not close to me, but there is I heard of a ramen, like a make your own ramen restaurant opened up here in LA last year, I think, or something. And the price for it is something like $10. $10? Like for make your own ramen, because it's a it's a special experience. It's a unique thing, right? They're charging you for the experience of making your own ramen. You know what I'm talking about. In Korea, you pay like 3,000원 or like 4,000원, depending on what kind you want. You pay for the ramen packet, which is a couple of 1,000원, and then they have an extra little bit for the ingredients you add to pay for that. And then you get it, you get this thing of ramen, you get all these toppings on it, you cook it and eat it. $10 for that. Like, what are they talking? The packet itself is less than $1. And the toppings, let's just say they're $1. Let's go crazy. Anyway. Like packaged ramen, like one of the places in Korea where you buy the packaged ramen, put it in the bowl, push the water button on the machine. It puts boiling water in. You let it sit while it cooks. And then you add, like, usually it's like chopped green onions, like bits of sausage, a slice of American cheese, like that sort of ramen. Not like homemade, like fancy, chef-made ramen or anything. That would be totally justified for, 10 or $20. Yeah. 빌리 선생님이랑 한국어뿐만 아니라 영어도 배워요. Not only do I learn Korean, but I also learn English. Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay, next sentence. And then we'll go on to our other form for today. Because I think you've got this. Okay. 반 친구들. So in this case, 반 is used for a class. So 반 친구 is friends that are in your class. And in Korean, since you're with people of the same age, this is just basically meaning your classmates. In English, we also use that word class. Mates, like friends, right? Mate. 반 친구들. So my classmates, 이름, their name, 뿐만아니라. So not only the names of my classmates, but 전화번호. 전화 is telephone, 번호 is number, so phone numbers. 까지. 까지 is a particle that here is being used to mean even. Like, can you believe even? That sort of even. It's more emphasis. So even the phone numbers of my classmates, not only their names, but also even their phone numbers. 다, all of them, 외우다 is to memorize. 외웠어요. So, 반 친구들 이름뿐만 아니라 전화번호까지 다 외웠어요. So I memorized not only my classmates' names, but even their phone numbers. 반 친구들 이름뿐만 아니라 전화번호까지 다 외웠어요. 반 친구들 이름뿐만 아니라 전화번호까지 다 외웠어요. I memorized not only my classmates' names, but even all of their phone numbers. And we could keep going on and making longer and more complex sentences, but at the end of the day, it really is just A, 뿐만 아니라 B. Not only A, but whatever. And there are an extra like 4 sentences just about this form as well on the worksheet. If you are one of my Patreon members, you can download the full outline for the lesson, which will be up right after the lesson finishes, as well as an extra outline, which I think has 9 sentences that are a bit too long to put in the live stream today. So you can practice more as well. Okay, so that's basically how to use 뿐만 아니라 with a noun. But what if I told you that there's another way we can use 뿐만 아니라, and that's with verbs? Yes. But what might that look like? What would that sound like if we said not only me, not only I, but also this, not only my classmates' names, not only breakfast, like these are all nouns, but what kind of sentence could we make if it was with a verb? Think about that for a second. What things could you say with a verb like to be good, 좋다, to be expensive, to be or to do, to go somewhere, to work. What sorts of things could you say in English? Just think to yourself, what sorts of thing could you say in English if you're using a verb with this sort of grammar form? I'll write down how it works and I'll explain it, but just think about it. Maybe you can come up with it on your own. 역시 LA. Yeah. I know. Who wants to pay $10 to make your own ramen? Not me. I'll make my own ramen for 50 cents. Thank you. I can do it for less if I don't add any toppings and I use like top ramen, which is 10 cents on sale. 지난주 수업에는 빌리 선생님뿐만 아니라 현우 쌤도 있었습니다. Make sure to add a title onto Hyunwoo's name as well. Unless he's like a little kid, you always want to make sure to add some title. And I think the easiest one would just be 선생님 or 쌤 for short. Okay. They're expensive at all things, like not only ramen, but also everything there. Has anyone had experience with Sejong University? Yeah, I've heard about them. I don't know if they're all the same, but I've heard good things about some of them. I don't know. Yeah, I say I've heard good things, but I don't know if they're all the same. That's all I can say. It's not a place that I would say avoid though, because it's not one of those, like I've heard bad things or anything. I've heard good things. Not only was this meal expensive, it also tasted bad. Very nice, yeah. 제일 큰 팬이에요. I'm the biggest fan. Of who? Okay. So you can also use this form 뿐만아니라 with verbs as well. And the way it works is you just take a verb stem and you'll change it into technically what is the future tense adjective form, which will just look like this. If it ends in a consonant, you'll attach If it ends in a vowel, or if it ends in the letter lir, you'll attach this. So if it ends in a lir already, nothing changes. Like if you have the verb 하다, the stem is just ha, you attach this, har, you're done. If the verb is 먹다, the stem is a consonant, you'll attach this, you're done. Some verbs, as usual, will have their own exceptions, like verbs that end with piup. Sometimes you'll have like 춥다, to be cold will become 추, 우, and then you attach lir, like that. That's all there is to it. There aren't any exclusive rules to this form. It's the same as you would always do when making this form. And then you add a space. So this one has a space, unlike the other one, followed by the exact same thing. And you finish the sentence in the exact same way you would before. The only thing different to know is that when you use a verb instead of a noun, you have to change it into this form. Now, the verb stem also has two options for it. Verb stem, the normal one would just be like, I gave an example of 할, but you can also use the past tense verb stem in this form. In fact, most grammar forms you can anyway. But this one, you could also use the past tense, which means when you conjugate a verb normally, you get to this double letter and then you attach oyo, right? That looks horrible. All you do is anything after that double letter, you cut off, and that is a past tense verb stem. It's the same for action verbs and descriptive verbs. So once you've conjugated it into the past tense like normal, you're done, and then you attach and then 뿐만아니라. So what would that mean? Well, if we have something in the present tense, not only, let's say it's an action verb, 하다, to do. So not only do I do something, in past tense, 했을, not only did I, past tense. If we're talking about a descriptive verb, however, instead of do, because you're not doing anything, you would be something, or something was a certain way. Like for our example with 춥다, to be cold. 추울, not only is it cold, or past tense, not only was it cold. Let's use 비싸다, to be expensive. So you can have not only is it expensive, or past tense, not only was it expensive. So you have a lot of options now. You can use it with a noun, so not only something, but you can also use it with a verb. Not only is something or was something or does or did, like that. Again, you can use either the regular verb stem or the past tense, depending on what you want to say. But that is all there is to it. So armed with this knowledge, we can now make a bunch of sentences. So let me give you a few example sentences. Oh, Nolan's wetland. I'm not upset at it, but you never want to use null to another person unless you're already really close with them and they're the same age as you or younger as well. If you use null to an adult or to a teacher or anyone who's in any sort of like position where they're helping you, then it would be considered like talking down to someone. Okay, let me write up a first example sentence. Like I said, teachers won't get mad at you for doing that, but Koreans who aren't familiar with that they'll feel upset. Okay, I'm just going to write down a part of the sentence. Oh, I got a donation. Hey, Flo, bottom of the hour. You're 7 minutes late, Flo. Where's that refund button? Push the refund button. Thank you, Flo. Bottom of the hour, a few minutes late. I was too riveted with the instruction. It's a good excuse. I'll accept that. Thank you, Flo. Very kind of you. So I did not write a full sentence out here, but I did write most of the sentence. So what I want to say is twofold. I want to say, actually, we don't need to say 좋다. We can just say 좋아요 for this. So let's say I have these two sentences. I have 이 요리는. So this food, this dish, this cooking is 다이어트에 좋아요. Good. A is for. So if you want to say like something, it's good for something or bad for something, you can say something에 좋다, 좋아요, or 안 좋아요. Like 다이어트에 안 좋아요. It's not good for a diet. Or in this case, 다이어트에 좋아요. So this dish is good for dieting. It's good for a diet, literally. And I'm also saying 눈에도 좋아요. It's also good for your eyes. So this food, this cooking, this dish is good for diets. It's also good for your eyes. But we can combine these with the form not only, and we can say something like, not only is this food good for a diet, but it's also good for your eyes. And we can do that very simply by changing this one. So you can try it on your own, but if you want to do it on your own, just don't look. But I'm going to write it up. It's very simple. All we're doing is getting the stem, and then we're done. We just finish it up. Oops, that's even worse. So we can use this form to combine different sentences together. 이 요리는, so this dish, this cooking, this food, this dish here, 다이어트에 좋을 뿐만 아니라, in this case, diet에, for a diet, 좋다, to be good. So it's good for a diet. Not only is this dish good for your diet, but also, 눈, eyes, 에도, also for your eyes, 좋아요. It's good. 이 요리는 다이어트에 좋을 뿐만 아니라, 눈에도 좋아요. So, not only is this dish good for dieting, but it's also good for your eyes. Maybe that would be something, I don't know, with like a bunch of blueberries. I don't know what's actually good for your eyes. The whole thing about carrots is a myth. So now I don't know what's real. 이 요리는, so this dish, 다이어트에 좋을 뿐만 아니라, not only is it good for a diet, but also, 눈에도 좋아요. It's also good for your eyes. 방에서 청소를 할 뿐만 아니라 설거지도 해야 돼. Very good. 이 요리는 다이어트에 좋을 뿐만 아니라 눈에 이로워요. Okay, it's helpful. You typically can just say 좋다. Can use this form in the future tense, asks Helen. What do you mean by that? Do you mean the verb itself or ending a sentence? Ending a sentence, yes. You can use it any form. There's no restrictions, just like with nouns. 피곤할 뿐만 아니라 아직도 계속 공부해야 돼요. Nice. Welcome, Alexander. I have an exam tomorrow. Nice. I wonder if it's about this form. Okay. And I also want to add, because sometimes when I teach intermediate forms, people think that you're not going to use it that much or it's less common. This form is so common. This form is so common and very useful. It sounds good. It's not one of those grammar forms which is like a little bit more difficult and less common. Like sometimes I'll teach more advanced forms or forms that are less commonly used, and I'll tell you if it's not useful. This is a useful form. You're going to see it a lot. It's just super useful. Yeah, anytime you want to say not only, this is the form you use, whether it's with a noun or with a verb. Okay. 저는 I 여기서 here at this place. 일하다 to work. Literally 일 is work, so 일하다 to do work, to work. 일을 할 뿐만 아니라. So not only do I work here, but also 잠도 자요. 잠자다 or 잠을 자다 means to sleep, asleep, literally, but that just means to sleep. So I also sleep here. Not only do I work here, but I also sleep here. 저는 여기서 일을 할 뿐만 아니라 잠도 자요. Not only do I work here, but I also sleep here. Maybe it's someone who works at a dormitory, right? Or they work at a library and they just don't have any place to go. Could be either one. But they're saying not only do they work here, but they also sleep here. 저는 여기서 일을 할 뿐만 아니라 잠도 자요. Okay, I'll leave this up for just a minute. Someone said something's German. What's German? Oh, your test. Oh. Auf Wiedersehen. How do I say good luck in German? I don't know. Guten Luck, maybe? Is that right? I bet that's right. I'm sure. I actually don't know the word for luck. I know guten is like good. So maybe it's like guten Luck. Viel Glück? Is that the word for good luck? I got 97. Bonne chance in French. Yes, that's right. 97 points at my advanced test this week. I won't only go to the cinema, I'll get popcorn. So not only am I going to the movie theater, but I'm also going to buy popcorn. You could say that if you wanted. Okay. Here we go. And someone actually in the chat had made a similar sentence as well to this. I remember. 저는, I, 아침에, in the morning, 아침에 청소하다 is to do cleaning. It could also be like vacuuming. 청소를 했을, in this case, 뿐만 아니라, in this case, 뿐만아니라 with the past tense, not only did I do cleaning in the morning, 설거지 is the dishes. 설거지도 했어요. So not only did I do cleaning in the morning, or not only did I clean in the morning, but I also did the dishes. 저는 아침에 청소를 했을 뿐만 아니라 설거지도 했어요. 저는 아침에 청소를 했을 뿐만 아니라 설거지도 했어요. So not only did I clean in the morning, but I also did the dishes. Isn't that nice? Auf Wiedersehen, only Billy would say bye to the chat. Yes. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. Adieu, adieu to you and you and you. There's that song, right? Isn't that Sound of Music? I think it's Sound of Music. I've seen the movie like once my entire life when I was like a kid, but then they did a live performance. This was probably in 2003 or 2004 at the Hollywood Bowl. They did a big live performance where they had an orchestra playing all the music, and it was like, and they to the movie, and then they did a sing-along. And they had a bunch of the members of a couple surviving members of the cast also show up at the Hollywood Bowl. I remember this. It was great. Yeah, and we had really good seats because this guy my mom was dating at the time had some money. So he got us box seats at the Hollywood Bowl. I'll never forget it. Like I didn't even care about the movie, but then that was a really cool event, I'll say. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I learned it. But I haven't really seen the movie. I only saw it, like I said, once when I was a kid, and I don't remember it. I sang the same thing when I saw Wiedersehen. Yes. Well, the funny fact that most people don't know is that movie actually created the German expression of Wiedersehen. It didn't exist before that. And then after Sound of Music came out, Germans were like, "Ah, that's good. Auf Wiedersehen, ha ha ha. Das Sound of Music, na, ja." And they said, "Oh, yeah, das Sound of Music, oh, yeah." And then they started saying the expression to each other. It's pretty crazy history that you won't find in Wikipedia or any verified source, but trust me, it's totally true. It's exactly what happened. Okay, one more sentence for this form, and then we have another one. I'm not running out of space here. Yep. Okay. Okay. Just before I run out of space here. Totally true. Is this form commonly used in Korean? I feel like I don't hear this form that much in English. Yes. I'd say it's very commonly used in Korean. 뿐만아니라, it, like I said, it does have a bit of a fancy expression, fancy feel. Because it's an emphatic form, usually you don't need to show so much emphasis if you're just talking with your friends. Like, you don't need to say, not only is that with your friends, you just say, oh no, it's this, right? Or it's not that, it's this. You might just say that to your friends to be short, make short sentences, but it's very common, both with nouns and verbs. Formal and standard. 했을 뿐만 아니라. Okay. That sounds like fun. Did they also do a TV live action one too? I'm not sure. I don't know. 수면 부족. 수면 is sleep and 부족 is insufficiency. So this is like a lack of sleep. 수면 부족은 사람을, people, a person, 피곤하다, to be tired. 피곤하게 만들다, literally to make tired, a person. 만들 뿐만 아니라. So going up to here, not only does a lack of sleep 만들다, make, 피곤하게, tired, 사람을, a person. So not only does a lack of sleep make someone tired, but also 면역력. 면역력 is probably, in my opinion, the most difficult Korean word to pronounce for a non-native speaker. 면역력 is immune system. And it's pronounced as 면역력 with the here, 면역력. Don't really worry about it, but you can find it in Naver if you're curious. So, 면역력을 떨어뜨리다 is to lower, to make it go down. So, 떨어뜨려요. So it drops, it makes it go down your immune system. Not only does it make someone tired, but it also lowers their immune system. 수면 부족은 사람을 피곤하게 만들 뿐만 아니라 면역력을 떨어뜨려요. So not only does a lack of sleep make people tired, but it also lowers their immune system. Now, this is not the actual word for the immune system. We would translate it as immune system, but it's more like immunity power is what it means. Your ability to be immune to things is what it means. But in English, we usually express that as immune system. 불균력. Yeah, that's a terrible word. 불균력. I mean, I can say it because that's what it feels like you'd have to say it in order to pronounce it. If you don't do sound change rules, 불균력 would be also kind of difficult to say. 불균력. Yeah. That I've never used that word though before. They do use 불균 though pretty commonly, but not as the one word. Yes. Alexandria as well. Yeah, because of 력, which means a power. 면역 by itself, 면역 by itself is the immunity. So it's like immunity power, but not the actual word for the immune system. So I will count to 면역력 today to fall asleep. Yes. I would say that's, I'd say it's probably the most difficult word to pronounce for non-native speakers because it has every syllable has a sound change rule in it. That's why. And there are other words that also have lots of sound change rules here and there, but I think because several of them interact with each other, it makes it a little trickier. But if you go to Naver Dictionary and you search it and you see how it's supposed to be pronounced and you just read that, it's not that hard. It's only tricky to read it without having that. Anyway, so not only does lack of sleep make someone tired, but it also lowers their immune system, literally their immunity. So that's it, right? Wait a second. Why is there more on my lesson paper if that's it? There's nothing else you could use it with, right? A noun or a verb, right? That should be it. Then what is this? What the heck is this? Noun with 일? 뿐만아니라? What? We already did a noun and we did a verb, but what the heck is this? It looks like a verb. Yes. Well, there is another verb that we haven't talked about, and that is just the regular verb ida. How did I mess that up? So bad. Ida means to be, and normally ida is used after, well, it can be used after particles too. It's usually used after a noun, like 빌리예요, I am Billy, or 철수예요, he is 철수, like that. 영이예요, they are 영이. ida. So technically, we were using this with verbs, so we should be able to also use this with the verb ida, right? In which case we get the verb stem and, you know, it ends in a vowel. So we attach ir and then we finish it with 뿐만아니라, right? So what is this form? It's actually extremely basic. It's not a separate form. I just wanted to point it out that you can also use it with ida, because here is what you get. Again, ida is to be. So if you use it with a noun and ir, you get not only is something a noun. So not only is something a noun, whatever that is. For example, not only is this the most effective method, but it's also the cheapest one. So you're not saying, before we had with just a noun, you're not saying not only the cheapest method, but another method is something I considered. You're not saying not only noun. Now you're saying not only is it noun. So it is not only noun is what you're saying. It's a different usage, but it's the exact same usage as we just did with verbs. Because before we were saying not only do I do, or not only did I, not only am I. Now you're saying not only am, just with ida by itself. So it's the exact same form. You're not being tricked. You're not having to add anything else. Just know that if you see a noun used with ir, it is the exact same regular form as 뿐만아니라 with any other verb, but now the verb is ida. Oh, I have a donation I got to check out. Oh, I got two. Stepping Stone Vlogs. Thank you. Stepping Stone. Is there a G on there? Yeah. As well as Demi. Demi, I need to make some space. I'm going to write Demi at the top here. I'm sorry, Gummy Girl. I don't have any space right now. Demi 420. For 12. Thank you, both of you. Especially with Billy putting so much effort into this, I'm glad I found him. Thank you. Alexandru, think of the German test tomorrow. If you get past this, Korean is easy in comparison. That's what I've heard, is that German also does that thing where you like throw everything at the end of the sentence, kind of like Korean does. So you get the sentence and then you get the very last bit and it's like, ha ha ha, and it laughs at you. Sorry that I can't donate more, but I'm a poor student. I appreciate you coming here as well as commenting. Thank you for your teaching. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Keith says, 농부일 뿐만 아니라 우주 마법사예요. You okay? Yeah. Just Demi is fine. Yeah, you know, you're eternally 420. Okay. So, again, it's the exact same form we just did with any other verb, but this time the verb is ida, to be. So instead of saying not only do I do something, or not only was it like that, you're saying not only is it a noun, not only is it whatever you put here, not only am I a teacher, like that, anything like that. Whereas when you used it without ir, what you were saying was not only the teacher, not only me, not only the shoes. You're not saying not only is it the shoes, but you're saying just not only noun by itself. So this just adds that meaning of is from the verb ida. So let me give you an example. 서재. 여기는, so here, this place, 제 서재. 서재 is like a study room, the place you study. 서재 일 뿐만 아니라. So not only is it my study, what you're not saying is just 제 서재뿐만 아니라. So here, it is not only, no, actually, you're not saying not only my study, but you are saying not only is it my study. So you're not saying just not only my study, but you're saying not only is it my study here, since you add the 일 from ida. 방송, broadcast, studio. So a broadcast studio. So not only is this my study room, but it's also a broadcast studio. Not only is it my study. So it's that is it part that you're adding in. 여기는 제 서재일 뿐만 아니라 방송 스튜디오예요. So not only is this my study room, it's a broadcast studio. Or this isn't only my study room, but it's also a broadcast studio. Like that. Okay, I'll leave that up for just half a minute. 제가 학생일 뿐만 아니라 엄마예요. Oh, you would do 에요 instead of 이에요 since it ends in a vowel. So not only am I a student, but I'm also a mother. I mean, I find this way easier than my German test tomorrow or any German test, but it is what it is. I think I'm going to go hide now so I can study a bit more. I just realized your icon's Pikachu. The OG Pikachu. Okay, we've got one more example. Okay. 이게, so 이것이. So this, 가장, the most, 효과적. Oops, I have a typo. 효과전. We start again. Let me make sure no other typos. Okay. 이게, so 이것이, so this, 가장, the most, 효과적 is effective. So 가장 효과적인 방법. In this case, 효과적이다 is to be effective. So 방법 is a method. So not only 일뿐만 아니라, not only is this 일, not only is this the most 가장 effective 효과적인 방법 method. So not only is this the most effective method, but 유일하다 is to be the only. 유일한 방법이에요. But it is the only way, the only method. So not only is this the most effective way, but it's also the only way. Again, 일뿐만 아니라, not only is it the most effective method, 이게 가장 효과적인 방법일 뿐만 아니라 유일한 방법이에요. So not only is this the most effective method, but it's also the only method. Small note, this word has two official pronunciations. You can say it as it's written, which is the more official way, the original way. 효과적, 효과적. But in 2013, I think 2013-ish, sometime around there, 11 to 13, they most people were actually pronouncing this in regular speech as 효과, 효과적인. So they accept it as 효과적인 or 효과적인. They're both correct now. Originally, though, this was the only way to say it, but now it's fine. You'll hear people say 효과 and 효과 equally. I think both of them sound fine. 효과, 효과, 효과. I think 효과 sounds a little bit more like casual, like natural, and 효과 is like sounds a little bit more fancy. Either one. In case you see both, or I mean, I should say, in case you hear both. You won't see both. They're always written like this. That's been like that for years. I'm really not into Pokemon. I think I should change my PFP. Just, I don't give out the wrong idea. No, don't change it. You don't have to be embarrassed. Pokemon's cool. Pokemon, gotta catch them all. I used to know the entire Pokemon rap, believe it or not. All of them. 'Cause there's 150 or more to see. To be a Pokemon master is my destiny. I used to know the entire rap. All versions that would play at the end, like in order. Probably when I was in elementary school. Yeah. Your writing is huge today. Thank you. 한국어 좋아할 뿐만 아니라 한국 문화도 좋아해요. So not only do I like, you want to remove that space between 좋아할, it's just one word. But yeah, not only do I like Korean, but I also like Korean culture. 나비 효과. Yeah, the butterfly effect. 나비 효과. The rap had great energy. Yes. I could sing that again. I think. Anyway, I had the whole thing memorized with the guy's voice. The green turd, hunter, squirtle, chapsy. I can't remember any of it anymore. Right on. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Yeah. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all, Pokemon. You know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend you don't know the song. Okay. I wonder if the Korean version has a rap. Yeah, they do. Originally they made a rap in English because the Japanese version had a rap, which I also had memorized at one point. There was a but it's not the same song. It's a different melody, and it's a guy just reading all of them. I can remember the rhythm of it, but I can't remember any of the lyrics for the Japanese one. So they also made a Korean one as well, but I think they probably redid it as well because the names are all different and they won't rhyme in either language. So you have to reorganize them for every language they translated. Okay, so that is everything you need to know about the form 뿐만아니라, both how to use it with nouns and with verbs. And that is the lesson. Before I give a few announcements, I'm going to take a really quick thumbnail right here. It's like, I think like that. Like it's so easy. Like that. Okay. There is no live class next Sunday because we just did one last Sunday and today. So I did 2 in a row. We won't have another live class on Sunday. I'm not saying I'm not doing a live stream. I don't know. It'll depend on how I feel. But there won't be a class next Sunday, but there will be again the Sunday after that for two weeks in a row. So now is the time when I can take questions from the chat. If there's anything you want to talk about, and I'll stick around here for at least 20 minutes. We'll see how it goes. Oh, if you missed it before, I also want to say thank you again if you're any of the ones who donated last week, because last week I did a funding for a new mouse and a keyboard, and I've got both now. So I got a new keyboard and I got a new mouse. I don't know why I held them up the back the wrong order. I got a mechanical keyboard, which is great. I'm liking it so far, and then a mouse that actually functions properly, which is the best kind of mouse. You always want a mouse that actually functions. So yes, thank you again for that. Mom이에요. Yes, that's right. Lucas Fernandez says, "You are the best Korean teacher I've ever seen. I'm Brazilian, but learning English with someone who knows Korean. That was very good. Thank you for helping us. You're welcome." Donata. Mi amigo? Is it mi amigo? I can't remember. I think it's mi amigo. And then if it's female, it's mi amiga, right? So you are my, I don't know. I guess your name's Lucas, so probably amigo, right? 한국 공부하기를 좋아할 뿐만 아니라 재미있는 것 같아요. I've been teaching my 4-year-old Korean and I was curious. Okay. How did you introduce Jeremy to Korean? So, teaching Korean to a kid is a different process than teaching it to an adult or a teenager, because kids are, no offense to kids, they are not yet developed enough so that they can learn things the way that adults learn. They are not able to use grammar books. They cannot. The same way they can't find like tutorial books and study things from like following steps. Their brains aren't yet wired to do that. So I would never say you want to get a kid that young, anything younger than 12. Like it kind of starts to change. There's no official date when it cuts off, but it slowly starts to transition around like 10, 11, 12, where you start to be able to, depending on the kid. But anything before then, I would not say to get a textbook for anyone younger than 12, no matter what textbook it is. There just aren't any textbooks made for kids. The benefit though is that because their brain is still unwired a different way, they haven't quite solidified some stuff in their head yet, which makes it so that they can learn that way, but also means that they can absorb the language better than we can as an adult, more efficiently that way, and less efficiently as far as learning grammar rules and stuff like that. So the best way for a younger kid to learn is simply from exposure and nothing else. But they have the time, they get the patience to do that. People don't get mad at them when they make mistakes, and people are always quick to correct them and help them. You don't get that as an adult. No one's going to be like, oh, did you try to say this word? Oh, let me help fix it for you. No one's going to do that. They're just going to pretend they don't understand you or switch to English. So TV shows. I recommend, maybe I should get a partnership with NordVPN or one of the VPN companies, but get a VPN. Get one that works well for streaming. Not all of them work for streaming. You want one that works well for streaming, and switch it to Korean, and then sign up for something like TVing. TVing is a Korean service. Another one is Netflix. Another one is Kakao Kids. I think it's still called Kakao Kids. Yeah, which is like, it just gives you access to a kids YouTube version that is curated with Korean content creators for kids. And my kid Jeremy, he loves that. They have some cool shows. He was actually just talking about one of the shows this morning. They have like a science show where they test weird theories or like superstitions, and then they give like their hypothesis, and then they test it, and then they'll duplicate it, like they'll fake it as well to show you what it would look like if it were real. And I can't remember the name of that show, but he said he really likes that. So that would be like YouTube, but the Netflix would probably work well. They have Korean content for kids, Korean subtitles, but you don't get any of that in the US version. So we have to use a VPN for that, or else it won't work. I would just go with that route. And then books, you want to get them you want them to like reading, which is the biggest, I think my biggest accomplishment as a Korean teacher, parent for Jeremy, is that he loves reading, and he loves reading Korean books, that he does not distinguish for him which is better, English or Korean right now. If I give him a book in English, he'll be, oh, cool, thanks. And if I give him a book in Korean, oh, 고마워요, like that. So he doesn't care so much about that. He likes both of them. And you want them to be doing tons of reading, tons of listening, and then speaking practice. They would have to have a way to speak it. So you need someone that they could speak it with. That could be a tutor who you hire like twice a week for 30 minutes each time, or, an hour a week. The more you can do it, the better. But you need all of those things for a kid. And if you wanted to make like a plan for how to do this, you can discuss this either with me or with a tutor or someone like that. But that's the basic thing that you want to be doing for a kid, because they learn quite differently than we do. De nada is Spanish. Yo soy. De nada es español. Yes. They could watch Peppa Pig. My kid also likes Doraemon. But although that's a Japanese show, they do have a Korean version that's been around for a long time. So some of the things they'll say are going to be a little different than what you get in Korean, because they are Japanese expressions translated, which doesn't translate very well for some of it, as well as the culture being a little bit different. But for the most part, it's still going to be okay. But a lot of those animated series I actually wouldn't recommend as much, especially the ones that are made for little kids, because the Korean you're learning them is not going to be that useful. More useful is going to be like like cartoons made more for teenagers, as well as YouTube shows which are made for kids. I think are going to be better than kids animation for learning. Namjoon credits learning English to watching Friends. Yes, that is actually, I'm sorry. RM. RM, you are telling the truth as far as you know it, but that's a common myth that many Koreans will say, is that they got good at English by watching Friends. It's not accurate at all. That's not how anyone learned English. It is something that people credit to watching Friends because of the way that the English system in Korea works, where everyone has to learn English from birth in Korea. You learn it in preschool. Before you even go to school, you'll do, your daycare center will have an English class. You'll do testing for English all throughout elementary school. And then it gets serious in junior high school and then high school. If you look at a high schooler's English test, it is ridiculous how high level it gets to. It's like more than, like, it would be difficult for you to take it as a native English speaker. That doesn't mean that they can speak it at all. It just means you're forced to learn it. But when you're forced to learn a language from birth, that's what we call a native language. So I like to refer to it as a dormant native language, meaning majority of Koreans somewhat know a little bit, but it's all smashed in the back of their head. Like, it's all there, but they can't use it unless they've actually practiced it. So what happens is then someone goes out of their way and tries to watch tons of Friends as a teenager, listen to tons of podcasts as a teenager, and their brain starts pulling a lot of that stuff out that they've already learned but never used. And that's like the best time to do that. When it's still kind of fresh in your mind when you're young, like, 14, 15, 16, that sort of age, especially like that age, teenage years. So anyone who watches Friends as a teenager is going to say, I learned English by watching Friends, or maybe they played video games. I learned English actually by playing lots of video games. Whatever they used worked for them because of that different educational system in Korea, not because of watching a special show that's really good for English. Friends, as you know, if you've seen it, is not real English. Like, they're speaking in English, right? But that's not the way we speak to each other. It's the way that writers write stuff. Like, if someone watched every episode of the Big Bang Show, or Big Bang Theory, right? Big Bang Theory, and then they started saying bazinga, like, that's not how we talk to each other. And it's the same with Friends. You don't learn English by watching Friends. What they are doing, though, is they're remembering a lot of the stuff that they learned at school and kind of pushed aside and weren't using, and then watching lots of shows, Game of Thrones, any sort of video game, online games, dramas, talk shows. I've heard people say they learned English from watching Conan's talk show. No, you didn't. You learn English by being literally born and doing English class from birth, not because you decided to watch Friends. But if you did not watch that show as religiously as you did, you would not speak English, and that's the truth. So they're telling the truth, but it's not the complete story. So if your question, the equivalent of a Friends show in Korean would be literally anything that you like to watch and that you watch consistently will give you that same effect. However, it'll depend when you start. A Korean person starting to watch Friends at 30 will not have the same brain flexibility as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old person who starts watching those shows. So you still can do it. It just takes a lot more time. So yeah, don't let that kind of thing discourage you and think like, oh, I must not be doing enough. It's like you're comparing yourself with someone who's learned the language their entire life and then just needed that push to actually use it. I guess an equivalent would be like if you grew up in Los Angeles and did Spanish class, like in a neighborhood with lots of a percentage of Hispanic population. So you take Spanish class in junior high, you take it all through high school, but you can't speak Spanish, right? Even though you took the class. But if you were spending all your free time watching Telemundo and listening to Spanish radio, you're going to know Spanish by the time you finish high school really well. And you're going to say to your friends who ask you, ¿por qué tú, I don't know how to say learn, el español so well? And you would say, oh, well, it's because I watched Spanish TV every day. And you kind of get what I'm saying at this point. William Tell Overture, yeah. Okay, 배고파 죽겠어서 is not standard. Yes, as someone said. Even better if the book's about Minecraft. Korean kids love Minecraft too, so you can find a lot of Minecraft books in Korea. But you would have to go to the physical stores to get that, or you'd have to search for the book specifically on like any of the Korean book websites. I believe like Aladdin it's like the used bookstore as well. You could probably order some from there. Wait a minute, that's why people look at me weird when I bazinga. Not Tony, not when I say bazinga, but when I bazinga. Yes, you're making it into a verb now. My friend group speaks remarkably close to friends. Yeah. Apprender. Okay, it is similar to French, I guess. I started watching Signal. Oh, nice. Per your recommendation, although I've only seen one episode so far, I dig the concept. Okay. Yeah, so Signal 2 is supposed to be coming out, but it's stuck right now because so Signal 1 was really popular, came out 2015, I think 2016, one of those, 2015 or 2016. It's basically the movie Frequency that we had in like the year 2000, I think. And where a detective in the present radios with someone else, in this case, not his own father, like in Frequency, but with another detective in the past. And they're both trying to solve the same case with the same person committing the crimes. I guess he lived through the whole time and he's still causing chaos. So they're working together, him in the present and the other detective in the past. And the show had several main actors, but the main actor who was the detective in the past, who I'd say is even more in the show than the one in the present, there was a scandal with him being accused of some sort of, I think it might be like harassment or something, some sort of misconduct, pretty bad in the industry. So they are filming or just finished filming. Yeah, I think they finished filming season 2. But because he's going through that, being accused and getting, I'm not sure where they are in the court system for that. It looks bad for the whole show. It would be like if Bill Cosby got cast in the second season, like after everything we knew, then it's like, do you really want to release this show at this point? Right? Like, I don't know if we should release it. So I think they're kind of sitting on it. So I don't know if we'll ever get, I mean, they put all this work into it. I don't know if we're ever going to get season 2, but frankly, if you watch season 1, I am happy with it. I'm more than happy if season 2 never comes out as far as like story wise. I am curious what happens, what they're going to say happens, but we already have everything we need from the first season. So I never really needed a second, but anyway, yeah, that's the really quick summary of what went on. Both immersion and regular studying are important to learn a language. Yeah, especially when you are beyond a child age, then your brain is much better equipped to learn. You can learn way faster than kids can, but you learn in a different way. Signal was really good. Then I got hyped. Now I'm quite deflated over it. No problem. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Majority of Korean dramas were not for me. I will recommend one more to you though. I will recommend one more to you, Keith. Just watch the first episode. If you don't like it, do not watch the other episodes. It does not get better than the first episode. Chuno. Chuno is slave hunters, basically hunting slaves. And it's supposed to be like these guys that go hunting after escaped slaves in old Korea in the Joseon dynasty. If you watch Chuno, please, please, please do not watch the last like 3 or 4 episodes. Just make up whatever ending in your head you want. And then maybe like, have a ton of snacks and laugh while you watch the last few episodes. Cause it just destroyed itself. Basically it did a Game of Thrones at the end, but, the first part of it was pretty fun and it had cool music, cool acting, really, quotable lines in the series. People will still quote the main character in this today. That was also fun. I enjoyed watching it for most of it. But yeah, I usually don't find too many Korean dramas that I like. I thought the last episode derailed it a bit, but I can't remember. There's another Korean drama with a similar ideal called Tunnel. I watched that, but I couldn't get into it. I was immediately turned off of Tunnel by the directing. I couldn't stand the directing and editing. It was like, I want to watch this show, but it's like, it's like flipping back and forth between these different cameras and showing me all these weird things at the wrong time. Like, nah, I can't. It's like too chaotic. It gave me Taken 3 vibes. It's annoying when there's a cliffhanger, but no next series. Just finished Missing the Other Side series 2 and found out there's no plan to tie up loose ends. Yeah. I really don't like that. I think when someday when I am president of Korea, my first act will be to make it a law that if you release a season and it gets canceled, it doesn't, they don't want to make a second season. The law says that you get government funding to create one final episode that can be movie length, but one final episode, either one episode length or a movie length, whatever they want, to tie up the loose ends. It could be good or bad, but you get the funding for it. That'll be the thing. So basically the government, to simplify it, is providing funding for any show that releases at least, you want to say 8 episodes? At least they put out 8 episodes, 30 minutes or longer, that gets streaming on a platform and gets X number of reviews. You don't want to just fund trash, but something that's an actual show. Then they can apply for this government grant that will give them free money to develop their final episode in case they get canceled. So I think, and you can even apply for it before you get canceled, so that way you have a guarantee that you can use that. Anyway, I get unreasonably upset about that kind of thing too. Like at least just end it, even if it's not the perfect ending. Give us some ending. Let us imagine an ending, which was actually why I really liked Signal, because Signal, without spoiling anything, it doesn't have an ending, but it does at the same time. If you think about it, it actually has a perfect ending. But if you don't think about it, then you're going to be upset and wonder where's the next season, which is what most Korean fans were thinking. That's not an ending. But no, it is a good ending. You just have to think about it. You'll realize when you think about it. I can't explain why without spoiling it, but you'll think about it and it's like, it actually is the perfect ending for the way that the show works. That should be global. Yeah, that's what it is. It seems like a waste of money, but you got to give the people what they want sometimes. I feel like, yeah, that, as well as I would increase funding for more Korean media. I think that, you get another K-pop Demon Hunter situation. Obviously, you're not just funding spin-offs of that, but you get these really big properties or like BTS or something, and they really attract a lot of people to the country, not just for tourism, but also people want to live in Korea. Encourages more people to want to invest, purchase Korean things. Those are also very useful for the country. So I'll also increase the amount of money spent on promoting Korea to other people, not just sending out money for making sponsored videos, not that, but for new content that is able to get outside of Korea, to reach outside as well as in Korea, but content that's able to get certain numbers of views, certain numbers of exposure in different, we could work it out with my team. I don't have all the details right now. I can't give all my campaign information in advance, but something like that will also increase funding for that. Oh yeah, no more humid weather. I'm just going to get rid of all the mosquitoes and all the humid weather. That's also what I'm going to work for as president. We just finished Mercy for None. Nice. Not Korean, but that happened with Flash Forward. Such a good show that never got closure. You want to talk about shows that never got closure? Don't even get me started on like Firefly and stuff like that. That should be a crime. I'm surprised no one got arrested for that. Billy, is there a specific grammar point you struggled with or anything that was really difficult to conquer? Maybe speaking versus listening versus reading up to speed. Everything, every grammar point was difficult for me to get because I was learning most of the stuff that I learned in 2005, 2006, maybe 2005 and 2006 were the biggest times. That was when I was in Korea, learning everything for the first time. And there weren't any of these resources that we have today that you couldn't just Google and search for a lesson about topics in Korean, because the quality of content on the internet available for free or even available at all was really bad. It was limited to blog posts, like Tumblr posts. Like, imagine if the only way you could learn Korean is by scanning through Tumblr posts. Yeah, it was not great. So basically you don't want to use it because you'd search for a grammar form. This was like, I remember searching again in like stuff for like 2008. I was like searching for some grammar stuff in Korea, and you'd get some random Tumblr post like with, a bunch of people liked it and shared it. And I would read a lesson about this topic, and then I'd search and I'd find another post with someone else's Tumblr post that would contradict it or say extra information about it. And this one had less. So I'm like, are these both right? Is this one wrong? Is this one right? And then later when I started doing Korean teaching, I realized, oh, they're both wrong. Like the person who wrote this wasn't even a native Korean speaker or didn't speak fluent Korean. In a lot of cases, I would find sentences like going back now that are grammatically incorrect or like really awkward, but I couldn't see it as a beginner. So there just wasn't really all this good content. So yeah, to answer your question, everything, every grammar point was hard. Sound change rules, okay? Sound change rules, as far as I know, were not even taught to foreigners. They were not something you would ever learn. They existed. Obviously, Koreans knew them, but I didn't find any resources teaching sound change rules. If you search Korean sound change rules on the internet, you wouldn't find anything because they would just call them batchim, B-A-T-C-H-I-M, patchim. They would just call it patchim, 규칙. So you wouldn't even have the term sound change rules in English at all. And the reason that I so heavily promote sound change rules when I teach stuff is because when I was in Korea, someone gave me a sound change rules explanation paper. I don't have it anymore, but it was written by a Korean teacher that was like really detailed and like ugly, like 9 or 10 pages. I remember it's this little packet that had all these different sound change rules and examples. And I was so confused by that. And I was like, this must be some really advanced Korean stuff. So because I thought it was advanced and no one had ever told me about it, I really put it off and didn't really bother with it until later I realized, oh, that stuff's important. And now I make sure to always, emphasize that whenever I talk about whenever I start teaching people Korean. So there's just some stuff like that. Like a lot of the stuff wasn't developed. People didn't even use the words descriptive verb and action verb, which I used all the time. They existed, but they weren't common because it was considered to be, they were just called verbs and adjectives, which I think is really weird to call them that because they don't work like that. Anyway. Yeah, Firefly. Let's not talk about that. And I love how Fox aired them all in the right order too, to make it even easier for people to get into it. Totally not sarcasm. Sopranos ending. Okay. I never saw that. I just heard, it's really popular. I make subtitles the actual language of the film drama available everywhere. Okay. Sometimes I try to watch Korean content. I can get English, French, Japanese subtitles, but no Korean sometimes. Yeah. Korean show on Netflix and the only subs. So the solution to that is you have to use a VPN and watch the same show on Netflix, you say. You have to watch it with a VPN because the Korean shows in Korean on Korea's Netflix will have Korean subtitles. The reason is Korean will also have them available for the hard of hearing. So they'll have the captions basically. And those are all available for all the shows in Korean. So you might not have the official like nice subtitles, but they'll always have the hard of hearing subtitles available. But you need a VPN for that. Yeah, and the reason is the subtitles exist already. It's exactly as you said. So why? My guess is that they just it's two different systems. So the people working in Korea say, well, obviously we need Korean subtitles, but the people in the US think, what are the most common languages that we're going to distribute this movie with in our market? And the company that's distributing that Korean show in the US, they're going to think, well, who is watching this show? Well, we have people who are from China in the US and people from, speaking Spanish in the US and English and German. People love this show for some reason. They'll look at their analytics and they'll say, well, let's give them these subtitles. They're not going to put every single subtitle. Why? I don't know. But the people who upload that are the ones that choose that. So blame them. I downloaded your cheat sheets and utilized them in my daughter's studies. Nice. You're welcome. I'm going to be making more of those, by the way. That's my next project after I finish this Stray Kids analysis series. I'm planning on making several more cheat sheets. Those will also be free as well. I'm still waiting for another season of Kingdom. I'm not after that season finale. Well, actually, I know they made another season after that, but after they tried to, I can't talk about why I don't like that show without spoiling part of that show. But it was when the character realized something about the zombies, that they're not, it's not that they're afraid of the sun. It's something else. You know what I'm talking about? It just, as soon as I saw them, like, nope, that contradicts the entire show from here all the way until now. You can't just change that at the last second. So yeah, I was out after that. I was like, that's a bit ridiculous for me. I can handle zombies taking over the royal palace, zombie being the king of Korea. I can accept all of that. I can accept zombies in Joseon Korean, but I can't accept your explanation for the zombies. That's just way above my my ability to accept. Just made no sense. That's when I'm like, okay, this breaks the illusion. I don't know why, but I changed my language to Korean on my Netflix profile. I got more anime and K-drama on my profile, as well as Korean subs with like soft music starting extra thingy. Sky Melody, I just started learning Korean. This will be my third language. And I want to say thank you for the Hangul playlist. Oh, make sure to watch the beginner Korean course if you haven't. The Hangul playlist is actually my original one from like 2017 or something. That was like the older series I have. But I have a full beginner course with 100 episodes that also teaches the alphabet in the first like 9 or 10 lessons. So you get all that stuff from the Hangul playlist, but it's updated and it goes on further. So in case you weren't referring to that, make sure to check that out. Glad you like them though. Hey, Korea with kids. If you don't see Korean listed in the subtitle languages, scroll down to the bottom and see if it's listed as Hangulgo. I usually watch K-dramas while eating and decided after a short while that Kingdom was not going to be ideal. Well, you don't usually watch Korean dramas because you think they're going to be ideal. You want the Korean dramas. You want a little bit of that cheesiness. So I was okay to follow Kingdom. I said all the way up to the bitter end. But then when they threw that in there, I'm like, come on, like that's not how the entire show has been going on up till now. It would be like saying there's a zombie show, and at the end of season 1, after like meeting with doctors and people getting infected, then the character says, it's not actually a zombie virus. All of us are the zombies. Like, it would make no sense. You're like, what? Well, how come you guys are the ones with doctors and doing everything logically, and the zombies are like looking weird? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you can't retcon all the stuff you've been doing in the show up till now, unless there have been signs for that throughout the show, and there weren't. So yeah, I think they wanted to have a twist. They wanted to have a big twist for the next season. So they're like, well, what if we just add in this twist? And the writer's like, we can't do that. It doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. But what if we did? And the writer's like, okay. So that, I think it was just thrown in so, yeah, it just took me out. Like I said, zombies in ancient Korea, I can get behind that, but not in this way. How can I learn Korean as fast as possible? As fast as possible is gonna still be months, years, depending on where you are in your, like, where actually physically are you? Are you in Korea? Are you in a place where there are lots of Koreans around you, or in an environment where you have close friends who are Korean, who want to speak in Korean? And then the fastest way to learn in that sort of good environment would be as much immersion content as you can. So immerse yourself completely and try to use it as much as possible, and look up things when you don't know them. That's the fastest way, but there is no shortcut. It's still going to be a long time because I guess look at it this way though. Even if it takes 2 years to get fluent at Korean, you're going to be around here in 2 years. 2 years from now, you're still going to be at your computer using YouTube, but now you'll also know Korean. So it's not really that long. It's not really that big of a deal if you think of it like that. It is a long time, but you're going to be there in that long time future anyway. So might as well also speak Korean. I think Kingdom was a meal with more of a, okay. Hello, Carrie Korean is a fun channel if anyone has a small child to learn. Oh yeah, Carrie Korean, yeah, sure. Also a game called Lingo Legends, never heard of it. That kind of desperation doesn't pan out unless you can stop time. Yeah, they maybe put like JoJo in there or something. I would like to see a Korean version of JoJo. That'd be fun. Memorize, speak list, listen, practice, and cry. Yes. You don't have to cry, but you might. Happiness is a good K-drama with a zombie kind of thing, but more like a medical condition, and it's more about how people react to that. Okay. You'll give up on getting there fast. It happens to all of us. Yes. I'm a full-time Korean language student. 4 years and not fluent. Well, that's pretty normal if you're not living in Korea. I would be surprised if someone got fluent by not living in Korea, not being with lots of Koreans to practice. If you are in Korea and you have lots of Koreans to practice with, then 4 years would be pretty average to get fluent at Korean. People talking about happiness. Okay, I'll just take another couple questions and then we'll stop for today. Don't want to go on for too long. Again, just remember there's no live class next Sunday. Not gonna lie, my BTS concert in August is what's motivating me to study. Your BTS concert with August, you mean? August? Okay. I guess they're all going to be there, right? JoJo is amazing. What would your stand be? My stand. My stand, I think it would be something like Rohan's stand, where I could open a book and read the whole thing and consume all that knowledge instantly, but not a person's not a person's head, just literally a book. That's my power. Just pick up a book. I can stop time and I can read it. I think that'll be my power. It'll be similar to my stand. I can stop time, but I can't affect anything. I can't affect anyone else during that time, except I can just kind of do what's already there. So I can stop time, open a book, read a page, quickly flip to the next page by resuming time, and then do the next page. That'll let me do lots of things. Stop time, I can take a nap. I can just sleep, wake up, continue, and then I never have to take any. Then I'm like awake 24 hours. I can get so much work done. That's what I'll do. A hunger stand. Like Doctor Who. Yes. Doctor Who can read a book by flicking through it. Well, yeah, he's got a stand. Obviously, you just can't see it. Billy, do you really need to practice speaking Korean with natives, or can you just learn by listening? No, you really cannot learn just by listening. I've never met a single person ever who has actually learned by listening, but I have seen a few people claim that who didn't learn that way themselves. So no, you need to be doing both listening. You need lots of listening though. That is true, to learn more than you think. But you also need to use it, because the problem with any language is that your brain is not going to hold on to everything that you put into it. And you know this when you study for a test. You'll study, like, say you memorize 100 vocabulary terms for a test, right? You're taking a science test. You memorize all these graphs and, names, and, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell and all this stuff. And you take the test and you're like, I did well. And a week later, are you going to know those words? No, because the only thing you did with those was spit them right back out on the test and never touched them again. And your brain is smart in that it knows not to waste its energy on things you're not using. So if you then say go into medical school, and after that, and you study and you're using these things on a regular basis and doing research and making medicine and stuff, your brain's going to say, oh, that stuff's cool. I'm going to keep all this stuff I'm using. Otherwise, it throws it away. Like, your brain clears out its memory a lot, right? It has a malloc code in there if you're a programmer. So that's the problem with listening only, is that you're going to be slowly gathering a lot of these common words that you hear. But then if you're not able to use it, your brain knows that's not a useful word, and it's going to kind of push it all back out. So you're still getting stuff in, but a faster way to learn and more efficient is to practice along the way and use those things commonly. Then that tricks your brain, kind of. No, it's not really tricking your brain. It's not tricked, but it knows, like, hey, I'm actually using this stuff and seeing it a lot. I better hold on to this better. Like, I better keep it long term. So, I mean, you can forget words in your own language that you don't use very often. And yet I'm listening to English, You know, all day I'll hear English stuff around me when I'm in the US, or if I go every time I'm outside, I hear English all around me. When I'm in Korea, I hear Korean all around me. I'll forget English words too sometimes. I'll forget. I'll be like, what was that word? And I'll have to describe it, or I'll quickly Google it. It's the same with Korean, but worse. Like, unless you're using these words, you're not going to memorize them. So no, you can't learn just by listening. Even if you could, your brain would forget it all because you're not using it. Label everything in the house using stickers. Yeah, that works as well. For memorizing a lot of the basic vocabulary that's like physical object vocabulary, that's a really good method because you have an easy way to constantly be exposed to that by seeing it and reading it every single time you go to interact with it. Listening so hard. I read it easily. When my tutor speaks, it's hard to understand. And Mila, I would say, actually, I can't give you too much advice without knowing exactly your level, but it helps to have content that you would enjoy watching, even if you didn't understand all of it. So something I would do is I really enjoyed watching Let's Play videos for games, even though I never played these games and I won't. Like, I watched a Korean streamer play Resident Evil 7. It was like 20 hours of gameplay. I don't know how much the guy played the entire game through without a guide. And I don't care about the game. I'm never going to play it, but it was fun watching someone else do it. And even if it was a word I didn't know, like a specific game, like an item in the game, you can still enjoy watching it and just listening along and trying to figure out what they're saying. I would say try to find some stuff that you're interested in that you would want to watch, even if you can't understand it, and just turning on Korean subtitles to help a little bit in Korean, or no subtitles and just listen. But it doesn't have to be like, if you don't enjoy listening to your tutor speaking necessarily, find something that you do enjoy, because you need a lot of listening practice. Still waiting for videos about 아재. Well, I might make a video about Stray Kids wordplay. We'll see about that. My brain is not smart enough to clear out. I have so much useless stuff. Yes. I need 2 brains. They can't have my brain. My brain. Korean brain and English brain. You do. It's kind of how it works, is your brain kind of separates. The area where you do foreign language is a little different than the area in your brain where you're doing your native language. It is kind of separated a little bit. Although it's not only using that part of your brain. Yeah, to stick a 친구 label on your friend's forehead. That's right. Yeah, don't actually do that though. I never did that before. If you do it, let me know how it goes. Also, emotions help remember things. Yeah, that's correct. So more emotions you get while you're studying Korean or consuming content, the better you remember the language. It goes even further, like the environment that you're in when you study. If it matches the environment you're in when you're using it, you're going to get the best results. Like if you study always and you're drinking caffeine and it's late at night, and then you go speak with your friend the next morning and you're tired in the daytime, you're not going to do as well as you would have if you were to hang out with your friend at night and be drinking caffeine. Just because of the way your brain doesn't just like pull in a word and stick it in there. It is, everything's, is connected. It's all associated. So you'll have parts of whatever word you're learning are associated with other things, and they'll be associated with other emotions. So if you're bored, it's going to be, oh, I don't want that. That's bored. If you're having fun, if you're laughing, it's going to remember a word. It's going to, oh, remember that time you said that funny thing? It's going to stick with you forever because you're laughing and enjoying it. Should label everything in the fridge. Oh snap, it's Arlie. Thank you again. Change my name to Red. How do I change your name to Red? What do you mean? How can I change your name to Red? What would I have to do to change your name to Red? Is that something I can do? Oh, you just mean on here. Arlie, I don't want to change your name to Red. That would be mean. I don't want you to die. You paid me though. You sure? You sure, Arlie? Okay, you asked. Okay, don't do this normally. I'm just doing it because you paid me. And also, Keith asks, do you use 친구 with your Korean friends or just stick to friend, or do people not make the distinction? So I wouldn't call them like to their face. Yeah, 내 친구야. Like I would say that jokingly, but you don't usually refer to your own friends in English as friend either, right? Like, I'll give you an example. If I'm meeting one of my friends, my best friend's name's Rob. So if I say, hey, Rob, I'm not going to say, hey, friend, right? Hey, friend, what do you do? You're not going to say that, right? But I could refer to him in Korean. Oh, 내 친구야. Yeah, he's my friend. They're my friend. But you wouldn't call them directly to their face friend, because it's like, unless you're joking, like, hey, come on, friend. Come on, buddy. Like, it's kind of like saying buddy to someone who actually is your buddy. Like, it's okay, but it kind of sounds like you're joking, because what's the purpose of saying we're friends when we already know we're friends? Kind of that thing. Oh, hey, what's up, buddy? You can do that. Hey, buddy. But it's not as common as just saying, oh, hey, Rob, like that. Arlie, I don't know why do you want your name in red? Okay, I should really stop the live stream, but there's still some of you sticking around here. So we'll definitely stop at the top of the hour. Maximum time is the top of the hour, then I have to end it. What app can I use to read in Korean? Depends what you want to read. I've heard Talk to Me in Korean has a reading app. I've never used it, but I heard they do. Other things you can read in Korean would be, what is it? Aladdin, or is it Riddy? There's another app I can't remember right now where you can buy ebooks in Korean. So you might want to search ebook in Korean and find out whatever apps come up first and use one of those. I think I might even have it on my phone. Let me check if I didn't uninstall it. Oh, Yes 24. Yes 24. Just the word yes, YES 24 is an ebook app, but it's it's like a store. It's like basically like, you know, your Amazon before they started selling everything, when they used to be a bookstore, like that sort of website. You can search books you want, buy the ebook version and read it on your phone. So I have that on my phone. I haven't bought any books with it, but I did get it originally I got it for a book that was how to write trot music. And I was using that for research when I was trying to create the theme music for my podcast. If you watch my podcast, I created all the music you hear. So there's a beginning, there's an ending, there's some transition music, there's some sound effects, like there's a bunch of stuff kind of in the theme of trot music. And I didn't end up using the book stuff because it was different style than I wanted, but it was helpful to kind of see, like it emphasized which instruments they typically use. Anyway, yeah, so I have that book, but that would be an app you can try. Yeah, Riddy book. Thank you. I knew it was something like that. I mean the 동감 connotation. I'm reading a couple, rather trying to. Boo? I think he means a couple books. I use Papago Dictionary. Yeah, Papago Dictionary is fine as a dictionary, though I wouldn't use it for reading. Rip Arlie. I know. Arlie, if you... if anything happens to you, Arlie, I swear, it's not my fault. You made me. You made me do this. Look at what you made me do. I'm going to be in the news. Like, Korean teacher responsible for passing of popular live stream moderator Arlie. And they're going to like make an AI video of me writing your name in red really angrily. Korean novels. Okay. Yeah, thanks. I'm pretty proud of how the music turned out in the end. I just wanted something simple that I can play as like a recognizable tune at the beginning. Was your boy's first word in English or Korean? So that's actually disputed because it's hard to tell what's the first word when babies make sounds that can sound like words, but it was one of two things. It's possible his first word was 엄마, because there was one time when he was like trying to roll over on his roll over from his back. And I remember him saying, mama, like that kind of. So it's possible it was 엄마 when he was trying to roll over. But we're not sure because it wasn't clear. But it was like, it worked. However, the very same day at nighttime, we definitely know he did say this word. Kaka. Kaka. He said kaka. That was his first word that we're 100% sure was his first word. But it was the same day, or it was like the very next day. It was the same. It happened like the same time. And kaka is the kids' word for 간식. 간식 is a snack. It's typically used for, I mean, for kids, it can be any snack. But in this case, it's like, you know, crackers or some little kid's snack. So it was kaka. Kaka is the kids' word for a snack. There's no equivalent in English I can think of. But it's only for kids. Although you can use it jokingly as well. There are a bunch of words in Korean that are only used for kids' version of it. Mama is for like food. Kaka is for a snack. And yeah, so definitely it was kaka. Maybe it was 엄마. Yeah, I think that was about 6 months old or 7 months. It was 6 or 7 months old. I wrote it down, but I can't remember right now. Yeah, if anyone asks, it was AI. That's the default answer. Okay, one more question, then we'll stop for today. Again, next Sunday, there's no live class. I don't know if I'll do a live stream. I might, but there's no class for next week. Ooh. In Greek, yeah, I know what you're talking about, as well as Spanish and a bunch of other languages, yes. As well as, yeah, French. Yeah, all of the Romance languages have that same word as well. But in Korean, kaka is a snack. So you can actually tease your friend. Oh, kaka 먹을래? Like if you're offering him a snack. Oh, kaka 좀 줄까? Or do you want, oh, mama? Like that. But Google Play and Willa is good for ebooks. Okay. Nearly 2 hours. Okay. I think that's good for today. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will see you all again next time. Again, that definitely will be in 2 weeks when I'll have another class, but it could also be next week if I feel like it on Sunday. I don't know, but I do have to film. Again, I have to film this week, the next podcast episode. Otherwise I'll run out. I film the next podcast episode, and I also have to film, hopefully, at least Bangtan's episode of Stray Kids, but maybe we'll try to get all of them, or it'll probably take a few days to do it, but maybe we can do all of them this week. So I have a busy week, but either way, I'll see you guys again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.